right, guys, you're looking at an article that I pulled from Michael Snyder's mostimportantnews.com. I want to talk about this today. This is interesting. In early October, the Earth will pass through the orbital debris stream of an extremely large comet. Now, this comet, consequently enough, was just discovered, and the name of it is interesting. It is known as C-2025R2 Swan. So today, we're going to talk about this comet and how this is in conjunction with the interstellar object that will also be passing to the closest position to the sun and to Earth, coming at the end of September, going into October. The time frame of this, all of this is, in my opinion, is super interesting. And wait till we show you some things that I think you're going to find intriguing as well. So let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, if you can believe it, it is already the 18th of September. Wow, and it is a Thursday night. We want to welcome you to tonight's broadcast. This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. And I'm your host, pastor, founder, and voice of End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo. We want to welcome you to the program. If this is your first time joining us, we love to have you on here. We're glad that you came. Let us know in the comments or in the chat, depending on where you're joining from, that you're new and where you're tuning in from. I want to welcome you. Our admins want to welcome you. You'll see them in the YouTube chat with the blue wrench. We're gonna cordially welcome you into the podcast. And listen, if you're listening by Apple or Spotify, we welcome you as well. And can we all take just a second and help us out? If everybody can help us out, hit that like button. You guys on Apple, Spotify, if you'll give us a good review, if you enjoy our content, all of this is going to help us get out there and be seen and heard on all of these social media platforms. So we really appreciate that. Take it a step further, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification as well so you don't miss any of our content in the future. All right, guys, as we talked about the introduction of this, I found this on Michael Snyder because I visit his website all the time. I just want to give a shout out to him. He does an excellent job. He finds some information that's pretty interesting, and it really fits our genre of what we do here. The mostimportantnews.com, he covers a whole array of subjects like we do, but he does it in written form. He's an excellent writer, and he puts these together. So I want to give him a shout out for this. But there's one article that he put up in early October. So this is coming up. The Earth will pass through the orbital debris stream. That's one thing I want to really highlight here, of an extremely large comet that was just discovered, known as C-2025R2 Swan. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. Scientists have just discovered, and it's interesting, just discovered, right? Another giant space rock that is rapidly heading in our direction. They believe that this will pass at us at a distance of just 0.26 astronomical units. And if they are correct about this, it won't hit us. But here it is. We are being warned that the Earth will pass through the orbital debris stream of this extremely large comet and could result in a significant meteor storm. Now, I want to preface this by saying, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. But what I am saying is, in light of everything that's going on right now, you do realize that on the Hebrew calendar, right now, we're still in the 40 days of Teshuvah. Now, we're coming up on a window called the 10 days of awe on the Hebrew calendar, which this is rabbis believe this is a window of time where on an individual basis and on a national level, that if we cry out unto the Lord and we repent with all of our heart, that that God brings a reprieve for the next 12 months. Now, again, you won't find that in the Bible, so I just want to let you know that. But this is a belief among a lot of rabbinical teaching, the Hebrew teachings of this, again, within those circles. So I just want you to know that they are commemorating this. And this 10 days of awe is on our Gregorian calendar. This will run from September 22nd at sundown to September 30th at nightfall. Interesting. And consequently, this is the same time frame, guys, as the UN General Assembly in New York, which again, the real heat of that picks up next week on the 22nd and 23rd. Also, beginning on Monday, September 22nd, and goes into the nightfall of Wednesday, September 24th, is the Hebrew New Year of Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so all of that's coinciding. The UN General Assembly, the season of Teshuvah, and then you go into the 10 days of awe. Then you have Rosh Hashanah. All of this is coinciding together and climaxing. All right, and now we're being told that hey, we just discovered a new comet, and it's not going to strike the Earth. But we're being warned that the debris stream of this large comet, and we'll get into the dimensions of all that in just a second, and the name is intriguing as well. We're going to talk about that. They're saying that this could result in a significant meteor storm. Now, I don't know if you knew this or not, but this is why we like to talk about this, so we can educate people on this and inform them of things that maybe they didn't know. But one of the most terrifying meteor showers that has ever been documented was called the 1833 Leonid meteor storm. Let me give you some information on this that I think is intriguing. This was called the worst meteor shower in history and is widely regarded as the Leonid meteor storm of November 12th to the 13th of 1833. This meteor storm was so powerful that it transformed the night sky over North America into a terrifying spectacle of falling stars. This event in itself was not destructive in any physical sense. There was no buildings that were recorded damaged, no lives were lost, but it was profoundly, quote, worse in terms of sheer intensity, psychological terror, and cultural impact. Eyewitnesses of this event described it as, quote, apocalyptic, with many convinced the world was ending. This event in 1833 remains the benchmark for meteor storms, outstripping all other recorded history for its estimated peak rate. Listen to this. This is so profound. 100,000 meteors fell per hour. Let me say that again. It is estimated that at the peak of this meteor storm, over 100,000 meteors fell per hour. Now, guys, I pulled this up. I wanted to look up because obviously it's 1833. There was no good footage of this. So there is these illustrations of what this actually looked like. Look at this. Look at this image. This is a drawn description of eyewitness accounts. Could you imagine looking into the heavens, looking into the sky and seeing this? Okay. Now here is yet another picture of an illustration of this. Again, look at these people looking all down here on the ground, looking up into the sky. Look at this. Now, when I saw this, I immediately thought of Luke 21:11, in which the Lord said that there will be great and fearful sights from heaven. This is a great depiction of what we're talking about. All right, the storm occurred when Earth plowed through. Now, listen to this. This meteor storm was generated when Earth plowed through a dense filament of debris left by a comet called 55P Tempel-Tuttle, the parent body of the annual Leonid meteor shower. Meteors appear to radiate from the constellation Leo, streaking across the sky like fiery rain. The display began around midnight on November the 12th and peaked between 2 and 4 a.m. on the 13th of November, lasting around 9 hours in total. Again, 100,000 meteors per hour for 9 hours straight. The sky was reportedly lit up so brightly that individuals read newspapers by the lights that were generating from the meteor. The ground was as visible as during a full moon. Witnesses reported meteors raining down like snowflakes in all directions, with fireballs exploding like artillery shells. Just picture this, guys. This wasn't a typical meteor shower. It was a full-blown storm. All right, so I dug a little bit deeper, and I wanted to know what people, what the eyewitnesses, what did they say about this? Listen to this. When this event took place, preachers cited biblical prophecies, Revelation, where it speaks of stars falling from heaven, leading to all-night prayer meetings and conversations. One minister called it, quote, the most awful and sublime scene ever witnessed. In cities like New York and Charleston, crowds poured into the streets fearing Judgment Day. Enslaved individuals in the South saw it as a sign of impending freedom, while some white enslavers grew fearful. Again, you got to remember it, guys. This took place in 1833. And even Native American tribes saw this and marked it as a pivotal event. They even reset their calendars, and some groups signed a peace treaty under its glow. It even inspired art like woodcuts depicted the quote, the night the stars fell. All right, so that was an event that could this happen again? Again, I'm not saying that this is going to happen with this event, but is it possible? Sure. I just think it's intriguing. All right, let's read a little bit more about this. This comet was first identified less than a week ago, and so any projections that have been made so far could change. It is officially being called C-2025R2 Swan. Now, I want to stop right here, and I think this is intriguing because when I heard that, you know what I immediately thought of? Has anybody ever heard of the term Black Swan event? If you haven't, I pulled this up here for your convenience. A Black Swan event, look at this, is a highly unpredictable, rare event that has a severe and far-reaching impact, often on financial markets, and is often explained in hindsight as if it were predictable. Wow. The concept was popularized by an author in his 2007 book called The Black Swan, and examples of this include the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the 2008 financial crisis, and the COVID pandemic. Why? Because they were, quote, again, and I'm putting quotations out here, read between the lines, rare events, but now I want to say this again, but in hindsight, it was predictable. Think about everything we've been talking about here, guys, on all of our programs. If you put all the picture together, we've talked about predictive programming. We've talked about how all this stuff has been put out in our face so that we can, that we are anticipating this. The general public is anticipating, they're in expectation of these things. We've been groomed and primed and conditioned to believe in everything from asteroid impacts. Look at Greenland. The movie had just come out, Greenland. This is what we're talking about, where that you had that meteor shower that came through in that movie, and they were falling on people, and they had that massive asteroid that was coming through. So you have that movie. Then they've conditioned us for an alien invasion. They conditioned us for a pandemic well before. There was a movie called Contagion that came out well before COVID even showed up. And if you dig hard enough, you'll find stuff about the Twin Towers on September 11th. So it's in hindsight, it's right in front of our face. But we're talking about a Black Swan event, something that's catching us off guard. And it's interesting. I will say it's interesting that for whatever reason they've put Swan in this. Now, according to the report, it's already bright enough to be detected by using binoculars. Now, this is a website called friendsofnasa.org. Yesterday, the Minor Planet Center gave Comet Swan 25b its official name. And then again, there's the name of it again. Between October the 18th to the 21st, So there's your dates. If you want to mark that down, feel free to do that. This comet, look at this, Comet Swan, will be only 0.26 astronomical units AU from our planet. If it does not fall apart between now and then, it could become a, quote, beautiful target for photographers and backyard astronomers. Another date of interest is October the 4th through the 6th, when Earth may cross the comet debris stream. If so, again, we could have a meteor shower. This newly discovered comet is already visible with binoculars. It is brightening significantly as it emerges from the sun's direction and might soon become visible on our smartphone, if not our eyes. Look at this, I'm gonna go down here. The unexpectedly bright comet was discovered by an amateur astronomer in images of the Swan instrument on NASA's SOHO satellite. Folks, let's, again, set aside for just a moment the fact that we could have this comet debris, that could result in a meteor shower, and it could be something like, it may be nothing. It may be a dud. We may see a few things here and there, or we could have a repeat of 1833. I don't know. I'm just throwing that there. But put that aside, and let's talk about the fact that, are you kidding me? Another comet. Again, comets are harbingers, guys. So and again, we haven't even got to the interstellar object yet that's coming right behind this thing. And isn't it interesting that they just discovered this comet? I want to read this quote here. Nobody knows quite what to expect because, as one astronomer has aptly noted, comets tend to, quote, do precisely what they want. Quote, what can we expect from the comet in the coming weeks? I remember the words of the famous comet hunter David Levy. He says, quote, comets are like cats that have tails and do precisely what they want. Now, I don't believe that. I believe God is in control. Amen? I believe God, according to the book of Genesis, these signs in the heavens are not just luminaries. These are for signs and seasons. This is not just, I don't think this is something that always just happened to happen. No. All right, now look at this. We're being told that it has a tail. The tail of this comet is approximately 5 times the length of the diameter of the moon. 5 times the length of the diameter of the moon. Quote, Australian comet expert Michael Matiazzo captured a new image of the comet on September the 14th, and it shows an impressive 2.5 degree long tail, which translates to about 5 full moon diameters long. All right, so look, let's check it out. Look at it, here it is. New Comet Swan, we'll call this Comet Swan, is becoming more visible. Here's the image of this thing. This is this astronomer from South Australia captured this image. Here is the head of this comet, and here is the tail. Look at this. Look how long this thing is. This thing keeps going and going and going and going, and it's still going. Look at this. The tail of this thing all the way through. Are you kidding me, ladies and gentlemen? There's a new fairly bright comet in the sky discovered less than a week ago on Friday. Again, I don't want to rehash all of this again, but he just basically is telling us what we've already read here. But I just wanted to show you the image of this comet. All right, as this comet travels through space, it leaves a trail of debris behind it. Unfortunately for us, it appears that Earth will encounter the trail of debris. There it is. Look at this headline. New bright Comet Swan could, quote, perform a surprise October show. Look, here's more images of this thing. Look at this thing. Look how massive this comet is. Now, I pulled this up, guys. This is an amazing image right here. This is Comet Swan. Okay, look at this. Look at the size of this thing. This is a monster. In all my years of doing this, guys, and we've kept up with this, I've never seen a comet this big. All right, now this whole thing gets even more interesting when we take into the fact that there's an even larger comet that is known as 3I Atlas. This is the controversial comet that one astrophysicist, I think that's what he is, he has come out and said that he believes this is not a natural phenomenon. It's not a comet. it's not natural of origin, and he thinks it's of extraterrestrial origin.
So that object was moving nearly twice as fast as previous things in space. So what made the speeds and size so remarkable to what we've seen in the past?
Well, first thing, it implied that it came from outside the solar system because gravity cannot bind it to the sun. It was moving too fast for that. And the other thing is that the object was relatively big, possibly tens of kilometers, the size of Manhattan Island. And if that's the case, it was 1 million times more massive than the previous objects from outside the solar system, and that was puzzling. It also came in the same plane as the planets around the sun, within 5 degrees. And the chance for that happening at random is 1 in 500. And then when we obtained the best image of it, it looked as if there is a glow ahead of the object towards the sun, instead of the typical tail that we see behind comets away from the sun. And that glow was cigar-shaped. It was 10 times longer than wide. And it's just not clear what this object is. There is a cloud of gas around it that is mostly carbon dioxide. And there is nickel without iron in it. And the only way that nickel is produced without iron is in the industry when we make nickel alloys. So it raises the question of whether this is a typical comet, a natural object, or maybe something technological. And of course, we will get a much better sense in the coming weeks because it will come very close to Mars on October 3rd. We will be able to get a high-resolution image of it from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter that was deployed by NASA around Mars. And that image will have a pixel resolution of about 30 kilometers, so it would be 100 times better than the previous image we had from the Hubble Space Telescope. And then in March 2026, it will come very close to Jupiter, and there we can employ a spacecraft called Juno to probe it. So altogether, we'll get much more data about it. And, that's the fun of doing science. It's like a detective story. We don't know the nature of the object until we get more data about it.
But the general consensus of the astronomers believe that this is a comet, okay? Nevertheless, we'll just call it an interstellar object, okay? Whether it's a comet, whatever. But nevertheless, this 3I Atlas will make an uncomfortably close approach to the planet Mars in its trajectory as it's heading towards Mars and the moon, the backside of the moon, by the way. It's heading to the dark side of the moon. All of this is going to happen on October 3rd. Now, I just think this is interesting. I'll give you some more facts about this in just a second, but the name, guys, the name is interesting as well. 3I Atlas, okay? And I knew Atlas sounded familiar, okay? I want to show you what I think is interesting. Now, it just so happens that Atlas, and you can see it right here on your screen, Atlas Doomsday Bunkers. Anybody ever heard of it? This is a company called Atlas, and they make survival shelters. Listen, I'm going to read this. An Atlas Doomsday Bunker has a range of underground survival shelters and doomsday safe storage units manufactured by Atlas Survival Shelters. It's a company that produces these structures to, quote, protect individuals and families from various threats like pandemic outbreaks, civil unrest, and nuclear fallout. These bunkers, which can range from relatively simple storage to luxurious living spaces, are designed with features such as gas-tight hatches, nuclear, biological, and chemical air filtration systems, and underfloor food and water storage with installations available globally. Interesting. Atlas and its comet is called 3I Atlas. I'm just saying it's interesting. Here is why I think it's interesting. I don't know if y'all remember us talking about this, but this just took place. This was back on September 7th. The phones across the United Kingdom blared out an alarm as the government tested its emergency alert system for the second time and it was actually called the, quote, Armageddon alarm. And then you had this report. This was back in February of last year. Look at this headline. Why are billionaires selling off stocks in building massive survival bunkers?
But you believe that there's a whole constellation of underground bases built by the U.S. government in the United States. Like that fact alone, just the physical infrastructure of it, because normally talk about what are they doing?
It's enormously expensive.
Well, it's unbelievable.
Okay, I'm going to read this right here. Many of our most famous billionaires have been doing things that indicate that they are extremely concerned about what is coming in the future. For example, during the first 2 months of 2024, Jeff Bezos, Jamie Dimon, and Mark Zuckerberg have all sold big chunks of shares in their own companies. All right, not only did they do this, not only did they share big stocks of their company, but it is also a fact that Zuckerberg and his wife, they're still in this process, by the way, of constructing an absolute massive survivalist compound in Hawaii. And this came from Time magazine, so this is not a hearsay or some kind of a gossip on the internet. It's a known thing. This thing was, it's a 5,000 square foot underground shelter on their Hawaii ranch with its own energy and food supplies. The plan is that the shelter's door will be made of metal and filled in with concrete, common in bunkers and bomb shelters, according to the news outlet that reported this.
Tech billionaire Mark Zuckerberg is speaking out for the first time about his so-called doomsday bunker under his 1,500-acre property on Kauai's North Shore. As our Eddie Dowd reports, it's nearly the size of a basketball court.
Over the years, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has increased the size of his now 1,500-acre property on Kauai's North Shore. Word of a secret underground bunker on the compound made national headlines earlier this year. Now the tech billionaire is speaking on camera about it for the first time. News of the bunker first broke last year in an extensive article on Wired.com headlined, "Inside Mark Zuckerberg's Top Secret Hawaii Compound." It described a large, self-sufficient underground bunker with what appeared to be a blast-resistant door. In a rare interview released last week with Bloomberg's The Circuit, Zuckerberg was asked about it.
You do have a bunker there. Is there something you know that we don't?
No, I think that's just like a little shelter under, and it's like a basement.
A little shelter? What are you worried about?
It's a basement.
H&N obtained the county's planning documents that show a nearly 4,500 square foot underground storm shelter. That's about the size of an NBA basketball court and about 2/3 the square footage of Iolani Palace. It also shows a tunnel connecting the shelter to the ground level.
It doesn't surprise me that somebody would think, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Tom Tizek has been a realtor in Hawaii for 25 years.
In all of my years of selling real estate, I've maybe sold 1 or 2 homes with basements, if that.
Tizek says he's never seen one of that size in Hawaii, but given the size of Zuckerberg's entire above-ground compound, the size of the underground shelter is small. He also points out Kauai's past history with hurricanes like Iniki.
It's not unreasonable when you have the financial ability to do something that protects you and your family. So I would say this doesn't surprise me, and I don't think it's absurd.
While Zuckerberg doesn't deny the existence of the shelter, he says it's just a small part of his ranch.
We have the basic house that we built, and we built like an office out there because I work out there. Mm-hmm. And then just like there's just a bunch of storage space and like, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, hurricane shelter or whatever. I think it got like blown out of proportion as if the whole ranch was some kind of like doomsday bunker, which is just not true.
But it's just not. But it's not only Zuckerberg. Many other ultra wealthy individuals are preparing for doom. In fact, Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, the guy who is just kicked off a whole conference about the Antichrist.
He's doing a 4-day seminar on the Antichrist.
What?
I read this article by Christianity Today about the Acts 17 ministry. And I think their intentions are good. They want to reach the tech industry with the gospel. The husband of the founder of Acts 17, he used to work for Peter Thiel at Palantir, and they went over to one tech industry dude's house to do like this house church, and Peter Thiel was there, and Peter Thiel just started talking about the Antichrist and stuff. And apparently all these Silicon Valley tech dudes were just like, we didn't know Peter Thiel was a Christian.
Peter Thiel
is a libertarian, and there's a professor that he studied under. A lot of his quotes regarding Christianity are direct quotes from this professor. The professor and him are very, as far as like the Antichrist and stuff like that, there's this tension between the apocalypse coming and the Antichrist is the hero that saves everyone from it. His entire thing is like something's gonna happen that makes you choose one or the other. But he defines himself as far as his own religious views as a heterodoxical Christian. It's the same root as heretic. He doesn't believe you need to evangelize. He's like, my faith is real for me. I don't need to convince you of it. You cannot call yourself a believer. And the last thing that Jesus said after his 3 years of ministry, death and resurrection, he says, go and make disciples of all nations, teaching them to obey the things I've commanded you. You cannot be a follower of that human and say, I don't have to teach you to obey. It's in direct defiance. I think there is a political advantage that he's trying to pull from this. You either believe in the Jesus of the Bible or you don't believe in Jesus.
There's a big difference between having conversations and then being put up as a teacher and learning. The Bible's very clear. People who teach should be very careful.
One of his arguments for like transhumanism, what I believe I got from it was his excuse was that Christians are transhumanism. It's the renewal of the spirit. You become a new person. Your soul is transformed. You're a transhuman.
You're not living. It's Christ that's living through you.
So that's almost like an excuse. And I'm like, this sounds like the Antichrist. That's why he likes talking about it so much, because it's him.
This guy believes the Antichrist is coming. He's got a warped perception of this. He's not a Christian. He's living in a homosexual lifestyle. He's living with a man. But nevertheless, he's really intrigued by the Antichrist of the Bible. But him, Sam Altman, all of these guys, by the way, that have their hands in Stargate with Donald Trump, all of them are extremely alarmed about the times that are approaching. All right, to keep himself safe, Altman keeps a stash of the usual doomsday prepper fare, including antibiotics and water, as well as some more unusual goods. He told the founders of the startup Shipmate, per the New Yorker, quote, I try not to think about it too much, but I have guns, old potassium iodide, antibiotics, batteries, water, gas masks, all of this from the IDF and a big patch of land in Big Sur I can fly to. He also said he and PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, now again, this is Sam Altman saying this. He also said that he and PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel have, quote, an arrangement to flee to one of Thiel's luxury properties in New Zealand in the event of the end of the world comes about. Well, this is an interesting question that Michael Snyder proposed. Why would Sam Altman need guns and masks? Why would he need potassium iodide? What do they expect to happen? Now, many speculate they're expecting a nuclear war because of the rise of the threat from Russia and all the geopolitical fallout that's happening. But I'm just throwing this out there. I think it's interesting that the timing of all this is intriguing to me. There's just the names of this. And again, this is how my mind works, guys. And again, we're having a conversation. I'm not here to say that we're going to have an extinction level event. I'm not saying we're going to have an event like, Armageddon or Greenland or, these movies portray. But it is interesting that we really don't know. And even the astronomers do not know what is going to come of this comet debris, the debris stream that's coming in early October. Again, these things can shift at will. One astronomer said they're like a cat's tail. It just kind of turns at its will. We don't really know what's going to happen. And again, I've showed you that there is a history back in 1833 of a meteor storm that took place that many deemed to be, it was so fearful that they thought it was apocalyptic. They thought it was doomsday. They thought it was the end of the world. They thought that it was Judgment Day. It impacted the entire nation. Now, according to Avi Loeb, and that's the guy who thinks this interstellar object is of extraterrestrial origin, he has pointed out that the trajectory of 3I Atlas will take it so close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, it is more evidence for his theory that it could be an alien spacecraft. Again, I am not making the assertion that that's what I believe. I'm only pointing out to you what we're being told. Loeb has also raised questions about its unusual trajectory. Quote, If you imagine objects entering the solar system from random directions, just 1 in 500 of them would be aligned so well with the orbits of the planets, Loeb told Fox News. The interstellar object, which comes from the center of the Milky Way, is also expected to pass near Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. Another improbable, quote-unquote, coincidence, according to Loeb. It also comes close to each of them with a probability of 1 in 20,000. That's interesting. He also points out that, that this object is emitting its own light. Let me tell you what he said about this. Loeb speculated that the nucleus of the object could in fact be nuclear and possibly an engine crafted by extraterrestrials. A natural nuclear source could be a rare fragment from the core of a nearby supernova that is rich in radioactive material. This possibility is highly unlikely given the scarce reservoir of radioactive elements in this interstellar space. Quote, alternatively, the 3I Atlas could be a spacecraft powered by nuclear energy, and the dust emitted from its frontal surface might be from dirt that accumulated on its surface during its interstellar travel. He went on to say that this cannot be ruled out, but requires better evidence to be viable. Now, following the close encounter that 3I Atlas will have with Mars, it is expected to be closest to the sun on the 30th of October. Subsequently, 3I Atlas is supposed to come closest to the Earth on December the 19th at a distance of approximately 1.8 astronomical units. So again, what is this thing? Is it a comet? Is it some type of an asteroid? Is it what? We don't know. Nobody really knows until this thing gets closer. So I'm just throwing this information out. It's interesting is all I'm saying, is when you put all this together, it gets very interesting. Speaking of very interesting, look at this. This is a report coming from the Mirror. China intercepts a meteor or UFO as fireball streaks over the sky before exploding. Footage of an explosion in the sky above China's Shandong province has fueled speculation to Beijing authorities ordered the shooting down of either a meteor or a UFO. Now, what's intriguing to me about this report is this literally comes on the heels of this brand new congressional report that came out about the Hellfire missile that was fired from a drone and struck a UAP. If you didn't see that, check this out.
Real quick, I'd like to ask the committee to replay that video that Burleson had played earlier. I want to ask every witness here, specifically ones that have sensor training or have been able to recognize some of this movements real quick. So if you guys can please roll that real quick. Okay, while this is still rolling, Mr. Nusatelli, real quick yes or no answers. Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I prefer to answer that in a skiff.
Okay, does this video scare you guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Nat?
I had a different reaction. I was really happy that it got out. Thanks for providing
Curiosity
that,
kills the cat. All right, Mr. Borland?
Yes, for...
Okay.
All right, then let's go back to this. Social media users have speculated that a meteor or UFO was shot down by the Chinese military after videos of a fireball streaking across the sky, ending in a dramatic explosion, circulated online. All right, guys, I'm going to show you the footage. I found this footage. There's no sound to this. There's just music to this, so I'm going to mute it so we don't get hit with any kind of copyrights on this. But I do want to show you, again, this is the footage that they're talking about of, again, what is alleged UFO being shot down over China. Check this out. And there's where you see it explode. Let me go back. You see it streaking across the sky, and then watch closely right about here. Obviously, it's not hitting anything on the ground. It's not made It's not made contact to any mountains or trees or the surface yet. It explodes. Watch this. Boom, right there, right in midair. So was something shot up? It looks like, look at the contrail behind. It looks like something was shot up out to the left, and it made contact here and exploded. So see, and then it fizzles out. Wow. Here's another footage of it. So here again, we're seeing different angles of this. Here's another angle. And then you could see it explodes right here. And then again, this is probably that same, one more time, boom. And you could see it. Whoa, did you see that? Let me rewind this. Look to your left and you'll see something coming. There it is. Boom. And it hits. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section on what you think this is. Was this the same thing? Was this the same thing that just happened on U.S. soil? Well, it wasn't on U.S. soil, but it was off the coast of Yemen, if we want to be correct about this. But is this the same thing that was shown to us in a congressional hearing? Was this another quote-unquote UFO, UAP that was shot down by some type of missile or some type of weapon? Now, videos posted on X appear to show the fireball being intercepted by a small bright light in the sky, destroying it instantly. Several clips show different angles of the spectacle, and we just showed you that. The fireball appears to move in a curved arc before the explosion. X users have speculated whether this was a missile intercept test. That's possible. That's true. Self-proclaimed UFO researcher Tom Thompson said on X, quote, defense analysts say this fits a missile intercept test. Quote, a point of light moved fast on a curved path. A second light approached from another vector. They crossed. A flash lit to the sky and two sharp booms followed. Clips flooded Chinese social media platforms. Local media described the first track as target-like. The second behaved like an interceptor closing the gap. The claims of a missile test are, quote, not confirmed, and there is no official statement yet from the Chinese authorities. However, locals did report hearing two loud bangs resembling, quote, artillery shells. And then one astrophysicist reviewed the footage and was, quote, not convinced it was a meteor. He said that, quote, the problem is that it partly looks like a meteor until it doesn't. That's why I'm skeptical. The quality of the footage was also questioned and described it as, quote, weird and bouncy, making it hard to find out what the object actually was. So again, love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments in the chat. Was this a some type of a missile defense test? Was this an intercept, a missile test again, or was this an object, a UFO, a UAP, or a meteor, whatever the case may be, that was shot down by Chinese authorities, similar to what we saw in the footage of the congressional release of the Hellfire missile strike in the UAP? So nevertheless, guys, we've got these weird signs and things happening in the heavens. As we're again going to recap this before we close this out tonight. Right now, as we speak, on the 18th of September, on this Thursday night, we are about to embark into the climax of the UN General Assembly. That's the high watch days are the 22nd and 23rd, which will be next week. And then that's when the pressure will come on Israel. We're in that window of Teshuvah, the 10 days of awe, and Rosh Hashanah. We've got just so happens that we've got another comet. And this is a gargantuan comet, massive comet that was just happened to be found. And they're saying that the debris stream of this could produce a meteor shower. Now, will it be on a scale that we've seen one time in history? Don't know. But I do think it's interesting that they're calling this Comet Swan. I do think it's interesting that even the Three-Eye Atlas, and it just happens, and I'm sure it's just a happenstance, but one of the main producers and companies that create bunkers and underground shelters is called Atlas. Now, I do know this, and I pointed this out, is Jesus told us in Luke 21 that one of the signs of the coming of the Lord, there will be great and fearful sights from heaven, and men's hearts failing them for the expectation of the things which are coming upon the earth. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if we were to get a meteor storm, I'm not saying, I don't think that the comet's going to strike the Earth or the moon or Mars, and I don't think 3-Eye Atlas is an extraterrestrial visitor that's coming. I'm not saying any of that stuff. But if we were to get a meteor shower on the level, and it's not even a shower, it's a storm, of the level of the 1833 Leonid meteor storm that took place on November the 12th and 13th of 1833, to witness that in this time era, in this era of time, with smartphones and social media, I'm telling you, people would lose it. If people thought it was apocalyptic and doomsday and judgment and the end of the world in 1833, imagine the reaction that people would have this time around. So I'm going to leave you as always with Luke 21:28. Jesus said, when you begin to see all these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. If you don't get anything from this, guys, know this, that we're seeing more and more of these signs in the sun, moon, and stars. And these comets, solar eclipses, blood moons, these are harbingers. They're absolutely harbingers. The timing of these cannot be denied. These things are showing up, and they're coinciding around these Jewish feast days when Israel is in the crosshairs to be divided. That's why I'm telling you, when you begin to see all these things, look up, as Jesus said, lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Again, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. If you have not picked up our free app, I want to encourage you to swing by your app store today and pick it up. It's absolutely free. Download it, hit yes to push notifications. And once you do that, you're going to get all of our podcasts, our breaking news, everything that we put out there will be right there at your fingertips. And as always, guys, if you value our ministry, our resources, the information that you receive, the equipping, all of it, and you'd like to know about partnering with End Time Headlines and helping us continue to remain strong, then stick around. Here's a message on how you can be a partner of End Time Headlines.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, so I hope everybody has a great rest of the night. Look, we're going to be back here, Lord willing, tomorrow night, Friday, September 19th. Right here in the studio, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place, same channel, with another great podcast. And until we see you guys on the next one, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. And I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.